Sub-Woofah! Sub-Woofah! That makes no sense whatsoever. But let's have some fun with this subwoofer anyways.
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
When I cleaned out behind my desk, I also pulled the subwoofer and replaced it with the generic Onkyo box for the time being, so I could clean this thing out as well. There might be some cobwebs in it, and I thought about taking out the amplifier because I've used this thing as a passive sub for quite some time, and it works really well. The box was originally designed to go all the way down to 25 Hz, and yeah, you don't get as much boom out of a passive sub as a powered subwoofer, but with the volume levels I run at, it's nice to have everything all the way down to 25 Hz properly represented, whereas other so-called subwoofers fart out anywhere between 50 and 30 Hz, this thing will go down into the 20s. And I'm actually wondering if it could go even deeper if I had better drivers in the unit. But let's take a look at this thing and see how it's doing. Here's the back of the old sub. This is originally from Eclipse Pro Media Ultra 5.1, which was a computer speaker set that was a redesign of the original Eclipse Pro Media 5.1, fixing a lot of the amplifier issues, but ultimately not fixing the underlying problem of big computer speakers in the first place, and that is hundreds of watts of amplifier inside a sealed box for the most part that only gets airflow if the subwoofer's doing stuff. As you can imagine, that could be an issue. So, these days I highly recommend that folks actually do all of their amplification outside of the actual speaker box. They can get some airflow and cooling and basically be able to control that, as opposed to, the amp's only going to cool down if you have a lot of stuff going through the subwoofer. So, it's just that sort of thing. My system does up to 130 watts to a subwoofer passively, so I want to put this thing, so I've had subs on the sub channel using up to 130 watts. It does eat into the wattage that's available for the 100 watts per channel on everything else, but I never crank the system really high, so it's been totally irrelevant, and it has represented a lot of the frequencies really well, and with this box, goes down below 30 Hertz. So previously, I took an old Radio Shack gold-plated RCA cable, and I basically got at the connectors and jammed them into one of these old speaker connectors alongside the speaker wire itself to kind of connect them there, and basically short out the amp inside and bypass it completely. And then the RCA would go into the old SWS link jack, which used to be for add-on standalone subwoofers that could be RCA'd into your main system. So if two 8-inch subwoofers weren't enough, you could add additional 8-inch subwoofers to your computer speakers with some simple RCA cables. So it's a great example of how, in the heydays of big computer speakers, before the world of computer audio and regular audio came together with sound cards that encode HDMI audio and all kinds of other neat things, in the heydays of computer speakers, this was just a great example of how people were just getting barked up the wrong tree. Last time I confirmed that the amplifier actually still worked by bypassing the broken relay, the one and only source of mechanical movement that eventually broke after the circuit was turned on and off too many times. But ultimately, I just don't want to use this amp ever again. My AV receiver does amplification quite nicely, and I don't want some hack job thing where I'm jamming this and speaker wire into those terminals with the explicit intent of just shorting them, essentially. So what I want to do, I've already wired this so that the former output for SWS is now an input that bypasses the amp and goes straight to the speakers. So what I'd like to do, let's solder this together with some actual speaker wire, because it's not like speaker wire is all that scarce, darn it. Let's solder this together with some actual speaker wire and make a formal RCA subwoofer cable so that I can just plug it into the RCA on there and be done with it. Nice! Fresh copper solders a lot easier than oxidized stuff. Now, let's blend this together with some speaker wire and tin both ends. We have it! One single RCA into the subwoofer, two speaker wire, and we're using our LaPi amp to test this with, and for once, that's actually the sound of something working. Let's fire up that You're No Help song from the YouTube audio library here by trying to make it my ringtone. Where is that stuff? There it is. Now, let's get the subwoofer in on the fun. just sounds weird because the mid-range is going through it. Alright, cancel. Nice, it works. It just sounds weird because mid-range is going through it. But there we go, one single plug, and that's it. Just gotta do something about all these copper strands that are popping up in these connectors. I think I should go around tinning everything else that I have in terms of speaker wire and connections and stuff. Or get some, solderless pins or something. So that way we don't run the risk of copper strands shorting something out. But yeah, it works. So no more jamming the speaker wire and something else in there. Now I can keep, of course, a regular speaker wire for the sub if I swap out the klipsch with something else. It just takes two regular wires. But I have a special cable now, and of course, the SWS link is now an input rather than an output. Good stuff. And hey, gold-plated old Radio Shack cable made into something useful again. By the way, the polarity of most RCAs is the tip is positive and the ring is negative. So that's how I soldered it all up. And of course, over on the speaker wire, I do bright stuff for positive and then nothing for negative. So, oh yeah, it just takes some getting used to and just gotta set it up. Now let's put the real subwoofer back in my system. Roll the vision. Now before we go hooking the klipsch beast back up, let's just do one last hurrah for the Onkyo. Single 8-inch driver, down-firing, the subwoofer that came with the system all those years ago. Ah! Click in the box and then... Get down into subwoofer territory. Stuff's rattling around 100 hertz. Of course, there's more woofers involved. 60 hertz. Something's rattling. I think it's the furniture. 40 hertz. Mid-30s. Down at 30 on the nose. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. So the amplitude drops off notably after 30 hertz. Alright, enough torturing the poor subwoofer. Hey, for all I know, maybe something got underneath it and the cone's flapping against it. Now, let's set up the klipsch box. I knew it! Some spiders got underneath it, so there is some debris under the subwoofer that doesn't belong. Well, the Onkyo is out, the klipsch is back in, and I took the liberties of tightening everything in that lamp because things were loose, so the bass was rattling apart that lamp. Well, there's the answer on where the noise came from. Now, it's tone generator time. Just gotta get this awkward thing out of the way. It has a port. I should be able to handle it one-handed. No, let's not risk smashing the thing. This is the little subwoofer that could, after all. The little Onkyo is out of the way. Now, at the same volume levels as before. Going through the same frequencies as before. And there's more woofers involved, so that's what the extra noise is. Making the same mistakes as before. 100 hertz, what we thought was bassy in college. I hear less rattling. Maybe that was the lamp after all. 2, 1, 60. Keep going. Oh boy, here we go. And it sounds deeper and cleaner at 40 hertz than the other one did. Mid-30s. 30 on the nose. Oh, I can feel it now. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. This is the low point. This is where it bottoms out. We can turn everything back up to hear it. Actually, the fun part of this is we can actually do reverse polarity if we go down below 0. I am tempting the foam rod gods. Yeah, the drivers in that box are from 2005, so it would suck if I foam rotted them after doing all this work, but what are you gonna do? 100%. You can hear them fart around 30 hertz. 43 hertz. 40 hertz. Okay, that's enough. Never underestimate a passive subwoofer with 130 watts on the channel in a small environment like this. I'll tell you, man, this thing is the little subwoofer that could. It has like a paper towel cardboard tube thing for a port and a single 8-inch driver, and it's completely passive and has no stuffing whatsoever and probably fake wood or something for the material. But it actually does its job down to 30 hertz. Gotta give it credit for that. And it's nice and simple to work with, so if I want to put a truck speaker in there or something and see if that affects the frequency response, I could try that. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but I've seen some $20 car woofers on sale on Amazon. We'll save that experiment for another day, though. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay, signing off. Thanks for stopping by.